Performing well in the sport of triathlon requires a strategic balance of cardiovascular conditioning, muscular strength and endurance, and technical skill.
Here at ARC, our mission is to deliver a model of service that supports the athlete in all of their individual needs.
One of the biggest precursors to injury in endurance sport is manipulating the variables of intensity and volume when putting together an athlete's training program. The idea of these two variables is to achieve quicker times in the pool, on the bike, and on the road. Intensity is a fundamental principle of achieving overload, while trying to improve cardiovascular efficiency and also adapt to fast and slow twitch muscle fibers. Your training intensity will dictate the speed over the course of your given race. High intensity exercise can be defined as hard work at a fast pace over a short given time. Low intensity exercise is at a reduced speed and over a longer period of time and often over a longer distance. You need to manipulate both high intensity and low intensity exercise when putting together a training program to look at the goals that you're trying to succeed in. If the exercise intensity is too low, then no training adaptation will take place because progressive overload was not possible. If the training intensity is too high, that will often lead to failure of a workout, burnout, and then maybe a precursor towards injury. Volume is the accumulation of distance over a given day, week, or training block. Most athletes will refer to volume on a weekly basis to dictate how far they've worked, both in the pool, on the bike, and on. If the volume of your training is too low, we often see athletes unable to maintain desirable split time. If the volume of your training is too high, the athlete may unfortunately deplete energy stores, suffer from burnout, and then ultimately be more susceptible to injury. The volume of a training program may look significantly different in an athlete training for an Olympic distance triathlon versus an athlete training for an Ironman. Similarly, two athletes training for the same discipline may manipulate volume completely differently to achieve their given goal. With that in mind, one athlete may increase their volume of their training program if they're struggling to sustain a usually comfortable speed over a longer distance period. The other athlete, on the other hand, may reduce the volume of their training and increase the intensity of their training plan to try and focus on faster split times, increased intensity, and therefore getting more comfortable with the cardiovascular demands of that workload. When designing a training plan, it's important to recognize that you can typically only manipulate one of these variables, intensity and volume, to create a desired effect of progressive overload and physiological adaptation. Follow a program that is designed with a personal goal in mind and make sure these goals are specific to what you need. A typical training program should be about 4 to 6 weeks in length. It should be progressive in both areas where possible, and it should be followed by a week of deload specifically. In that deload week, you should reduce both of these variables completely to allow the body to recover, to avoid injury, and then lead you into a more progressive training block looking at manipulating those variables again.
If you have any follow-up questions or would like more specific details on the topics we discussed,
please contact us at ARC in Evolve Strength Downtown.